All right, it looks like our recording is started, so I am going to go ahead and share my screen. I guess before I do that though, for those of you who have not met me, I'm Amanda Matheson, Deputy Superintendent for Business Operations and Support Services. I also have with me Rich Van Gorder, Director of Buildings and Grounds. I'm sure you all are familiar with his name and face. And Steve Towns is from the moving company that will be assisting with getting all of the boxes out of your rooms once we are at the end of the school year. So he will help and answer some questions along the way as well. Luke is not on the call just yet, but I would anticipate that Luke will be joining us. He is our construction manager from Turner Construction. And also Robert Stempian, who is from Plant Moran Cressa, and Robert's joining us right now. So that is the team of people on my end who will be assisting with all of the Q&A that comes up. And as I'm presenting, by all means, feel free to ask questions as we go rather than saving them for the end. Is everybody able to see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So our agenda today includes going over the moving companies that we are using for our 2021 construction projects, materials that the district will be providing for you, instructions for packing, including boxes, technology, file cabinets, furniture, built-in cabinets, and personal items, moving and storage dates and expectations, and then contacts for you to have both information to contact Rich and myself if anything comes up after today's meeting. So the moving companies that we are using this year are different from last year. We have Corrigan Moving Systems that will be packing Brownell and North. And then Steve is with Palmer Commercial Services, and he is coordinating the packing effort for Mare and Richard. With respect to materials, you are not expected to purchase any of these materials on your own. So if you run out of anything, please make sure that you let John know, and he can get in contact with Rich to request additional materials. We have cardboard boxes. The boxes are being recycled, meaning that we used them last year during packing. So you may notice that there are already labels that have remained on the boxes, and we'll go over placement of labels. But essentially, if you have a box with a label on it from last year, make sure that your new label goes directly over top of the existing label. We also have some plastic bins, and if you have a preference of a plastic bin versus a cardboard box, you can put that request in, but we're not buying new plastic bins. So once we're out of the plastic bins and they're already filled and in trailers or other storage areas, all of us that have packing that needs to be done will be using cardboard boxes for the remainder of our items.
And Amanda, we are out of plastic bins already.
Oh, well, look how fast that happened. Okay, scratch that. No more plastic bins available.
I was going to tell you yesterday, we might have to take that off our presentation.
Okay. That will be an edit we make before we do our final screencast. Shrink wrap we have available. If you have any types of carts that are on wheels that have, I guess I'm going to say loose drawers that don't lock, you'll want to shrink wrap those so that the drawers don't come loose or come out of the cabinet itself. And we can provide the shrink wrap to you to do that on your own. We have packing tape and then packing labels, and I will show you samples of the packing labels. The most important thing that we want to make sure is that when you write on your label, you will want to write on the label the room number that your boxes are going into for the start of next school year. So John, do you have any teachers that will be moving classrooms between now and the start of next school year?
Not planned.
Okay.
As of
Well,
yet.
I am in the office, John.
Oh yeah, Sierra's moving next door into the office.
I've already found the room number and put that on the label.
Okay, so just be aware that if you end up needing to make some changes, it's better that if you can let your staff know what room they'll be in next year if there is a change prior to them doing their packing, because we want to make sure that the labels have next year's room number on it so that the boxes are returned to the correct classroom. Otherwise, it just delays and slows down the process because the boxes go to the wrong space. And then, of course, we have to come back in and relocate them into the correct room. What about room numbers in general, John? Are you changing your room numbers for any reason?
Margaret, what did we end up doing with Sierra's room number?
I found Sierra's room number on one of the plans and it says 111.
Okay, yeah, so that's the only, that's an additional room. It's not a change in number. So no, none of the numbers are changing themselves.
Okay, last year we had one elementary school that did a complete overhaul of their room numbers. So it made it challenging when they were changing signs and boxes were labeled differently. So as long as that's not an issue at Richard, we're fine.
Amanda, we need
Yes.
to clarify that actually with the renovation of the office being moved to room 110. We might have to. I'm not 110. I think it's 101. We might have to change the room numbers for this building
Why's that?
because the office is going to be reused for a new classroom, right?
That's what, yeah, that's what we were just talking about. It's going to be room 111.
But that doesn't make sense when it's 104 next to it.
In the Google Doc, it shows it on the plan as 111.
Which Google Doc are you referring to?
There's a Richard construction drive.
Okay, those are construction room numbers only. They are not room numbers we use. They use different system for
Got it.
construction prints. So we use the, our standard formatted document. And we'll talk about this later. I don't want to waste our time on this one.
Okay, yeah. I
We
mean, we
might have
can,
to make your layout work correctly, we might have to renumber the first floor.
gotcha.
But we can talk about that.
Okay. For the labels, there are samples here of the actual labels you will be provided. The color, background color, orange, green, might be different, could be blue, yellow. We have a few different colors of the labels. These smaller labels are used for furniture. So every single piece of furniture that is coming out of your room and being moved by the movers needs to have a label on it. So student desks, teacher desk, chairs, cabinets, everything has to have a label. These are then the larger labels that are used for the boxes. They're already pre-filled, or they have the boxes here for your name, what building you're in, and the room number that it needs to go to. You do not need to fill in the total quantity of boxes. You can if you want to, but you may have a lot of boxes, and as you're packing and setting them aside, obviously you don't know how many you'll end up with. So depending on how many boxes you have and how easy it is to get to them after they're all packed and set aside, you can go back and fill in the total number of boxes on each of these labels or just leave that part blank. But you will want to fill in, 1, 2, 3, etc. until you get to the last box. The special instructions that are included on this label are really more for your reference. So if you want to put some notes on there as to what's inside the box, just to help yourself when it comes to unpacking, the unpacking process, some people are really excited and eager to get their room set back up, and other people were more focused on what do I need to start the school year and took a little bit more time to get everything else unboxed. So if you have a need to use special instructions, that is for your purpose, and you can write whatever it is you want on there. All of the label types that we will provide for you are self-adhesive. So you can just peel them off of the backing and stick them onto the box or furniture. And as I mentioned earlier, if you do see a label on an existing box that you are putting together and using for your items, make sure that the new label for your items goes right over top of that so that we know which one to be following. And please don't write on the boxes. I understand that some people didn't follow this direction last year, so you may end up with boxes being given to you to use that have already been written on. If there's any room type of identification on there, just color it out with a black Sharpie or something. but the movers are going to be told to be looking for these labels when trying to figure out what room number to place a box in when we're returning for the start of next school year.
Can I ask a quick question?
Of course.
Is there some place that if we're putting those labels on desks or chairs, is there some place that we should, does the label peel off of the desk easily? Is there a certain place we should put the label, or does it peel right off without having to like scrape it off?
Our labels are formulated so they stick effectively, and they're designed not to leave an adhesive residue behind. On student desks, we recommend placing it on the top of the desk on either corner. File cabinets on the side, teacher desks, there's really no wrong place, but I'd say on the side.
Okay.
Chairs,
And then
on
are
the
we going to
base.
be able to easily peel them off the desk?
we've never had a problem over the last 4 years. We had our whole adhesive system recombinated.
Okay,
So
great. Thank you.
You should
I
have
just-
no issues.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
You're
And
welcome.
in the event that there is residue left behind, Rich will deploy custodians and additional help to, Goo Gone, whatever it takes to get it off so that it's clean by the time we're done with the process. Okay, getting into boxes. So, pretty basic instructions, but fold the smaller flaps in first, then the large ones, and tape the bottom of the box. The size of the box, in the event that for some reason you're picking up your own boxes, but please remember that you are not expected to do so. But we don't want any box to exceed 3 cubic feet. There's a couple of reasons for that. One, larger boxes can get too heavy, and we don't want it to be a safety issue for the movers. And also the larger boxes, then, they become irregular in terms of the size that we're using and make it harder for the storage when we're trying to pack a lot of things into a fairly small space. So this is the approximate size is 18 inches by 18 inches by 16 inches or 3 cubic feet. We also want you to pack the boxes full. So we don't want you to overpack and we don't want you to underpack, but you do want to pack them full. This ensures that when we are stacking the boxes into either the gym or cafeteria space or a trailer, that the top of the box doesn't crush because there's too much air in it. And then the same thing for overpacking. If you're overpacking and the box is raising up at the top and becoming more of a little bit of a bubble, then that too makes it difficult for when we're stacking another box on top of it. You want to be able to close the lid and then tape it off and affix the label to the side of the box. Please make sure that your labels, even though I've already said make sure that they're over top of an existing label, assuming there is no existing label, all labels should be affixed to the side of your box because that's the only way we can read it easily. Otherwise, if it's on top and we're stacking boxes on top of boxes on top of boxes, we no longer can see the label until we're starting to take those boxes down and deliver them back to rooms. I'm not going to go over the plastic containers at this point since we know that there aren't any remaining available. If you do have irregular shaped items such as the flags, posters, maps, there are a couple of options for you. I mentioned the shrink wrap earlier. Steve brought up during our presentation yesterday that if you have a large group or a bundle of those items, you can put them all together and shrink wrap them and then put a label on the shrink wrap and they can tuck it in a corner someplace so that it still gets returned to your room. Or there are plastic trash containers that can be utilized. And Steve, maybe this is a good time for you to talk about your speed packs also as an option for these irregular type items.
Absolutely. We'll be employing speed packs, which are large, extremely heavy duty cartons, about 3.5 feet long, 2.5 feet wide, 2.5 feet tall. They're perfect for oversized supplies, items from the gym rooms, in the art rooms where you might have some oversized items. If they're labeled, we will go ahead and secure them in the speed packs, load them on the truck. Traditionally, we can fit a speed pack's 35 cubic feet. So it'll hold the equivalent of 10 of the boxes that you're using. But of course, we don't want to put things in it like paper or books and make them too heavy and too risky of damage. We can pre-deliver a supply of these if you think it would be advantageous a few weeks before the move, or we can wait till move day and let the movers handle those larger items.
We've already talked about not writing on the box. And then a last recommendation is for you to also keep an inventory. So yes, there's the special instructions section on the label itself, but you'll want to at least, maintain a sticky note somewhere so that you ended up packing 25 boxes or 50 boxes, whatever the number is, so that you can do an inventory when those items return to your room and make sure that you got all of your boxes back, especially if you're not going back and entering the total number of boxes on the label itself. So any type of details you want to keep on your own inventory, it's just a good idea for your own point of reference when you're going back and doing the unpacking. With respect to technology, you essentially do not need to worry about it. So computers and audiovisual equipment will be packaged, labeled, and stored by our technology vendors. Majority of this equipment is being recycled because the desktop computers have been replaced already with laptops, and new smart panels are being installed as part of the bond project. Our phones, we had a terrible experience with phone packing last year. So our information technology staff are going to be responsible for coming into your building and labeling the phones as well as packing them. They will then be removed off-site and brought back into your rooms. And the purpose for that is because our phones are programmed to your room. So we can't just take out all the phones and set them aside and put them back anywhere. There's a lot of work that has to go into doing that way. So it's better for us if IT handles this. So there's an appropriate label on there with the room number it came out of, so it goes back into the right place. And then air conditioner remotes are probably super loose on being a technology item. But I told Garrett that if I have a problem with it, I'm calling him for technology. So it got on the technology list. Plus that's where I had space in the presentation. But if you have any portable type air conditioners or window units that have a remote control with them, we will be picking those up. Our building engineers will store those because that was another item that ended up being lost last year and really difficult to replace. File cabinets, if you have the vertical file cabinets, those can remain with the contents in them, but the lateral file cabinets have to be emptied and packed into boxes. And I'm going to let Steve take over the explanation of the difference and the reasoning behind this.
Sure, thank you. Vertical file cabinets in the moving jargon are called legal file cabinets. As you're looking at the file cabinet, they're approximately 15 inches wide by 28 inches deep, can be 2, 3, 4, 5 drawers. All of those can remain loaded, but what we'd like to see you do is reach into each drawer, and at the rear, you should have a slide mechanism that will compact your files within the drawer. And as we tip these on their backs for transport, it'll keep your files nice and tight. The lateral file cabinets are the ones that, as you're looking at them, are anywhere from 3 feet to 4 feet wide, only about 12 inches deep. Due to the build type of these units, they cannot be moved with any type of heavyweight items in them. We'll have doors that get sprung, they won't align properly. However, after you get them empty, it's a great place if you have some lightweight baskets or stuffed animals or tchotchke type items that you want to put in the drawers. That'll be just fine, but we want to try to keep it at no more than 25 pounds per drawer.
Thank you, Steve.
And if I may add on, any supply cabinets you may have, typical double door metal 6 foot tall supply cabinets, those need to be totally emptied. They're very flimsy. When we move them, they do not take weight well at all.
I'm making note of that one so I can add it to the presentation before we finalize this and share it.
Thank you.
We've touched briefly on furniture already, so all student and teacher desks must be emptied completely. The carts with wheels can be wrapped in shrink wrap, and you can leave them with the contents inside. And then apply the labels to all of the furniture. And like I mentioned earlier in the presentation, those are the smaller labels that have the moving company name on them. And all you'll need to do is write the room number on it for where the items are returned to. Built-in cabinets, and I should also add to this slide closets. Anything of that nature, and I know Richard has many built-in cabinets, but actually at your school, there's a lot of work being done on those built-in cabinets, so it's imperative that those are emptied anyways. But all built-in cabinets and closets need to be packed and emptied completely. On the closet side of things, if you have closets, what happened last year was some of the closets were not emptied, and two things happened. One, the inside remained whatever ugly color it was from, the 1950s, because it wasn't emptied, so we couldn't paint it. And it's not the subcontractor's job to empty the contents. Their job is to come in and do whatever it is that they've been hired to do for their trade. The second thing that happened was contractor dust is very fine, and it sneaks into every single little crevice. So even though you think that your closet door is closed and everything in there will be fine, or even if you were to put shrink wrap over the framework of that door, the contractor dust will still get into that closet. And then it's really, you can get it out, but it's a challenge to take everything then out of the closet, clean it, and put it back in. So from the perspective of liking your items to be clean and orderly when you start out your school year, it is just best for every single piece of everything in your room to be emptied and boxed or brought home. Personal items need to be taken home, and that's, truly anything of personal nature. Pictures, degrees and certificates. If you have your room decorated with, the bulletin board borders, or any other type of wall decor, any type of electronics, computers, speakers, printers, space heaters, chairs, refrigerators, microwaves, all of those things that belong to you need to be brought home. Because if it's left in the room, one of two things could happen. One, if it's something that's on the walls, it's likely to be taken down and thrown away. Because there is work being done in every single classroom, whether it's painting or whiteboard replacement, tackboard replacement, those types of things. And two, the district is not responsible for items that are lost, stolen, or damaged during the move process. So if something is left behind, let's say it's a desk chair and a wheel is, falls off of it during the move process, we will not be replacing your chair. So it is just best of everything that you have that is yours, that you have purchased personally, that it's brought home. And then if you need to bring it back for the start of next school year, you can do that once you have access to your classroom again. So I've already mentioned that we have professional moving companies that have been hired to take all of the boxes and furniture out of your rooms. So all you need to do is worry about packing. And then the moving company will come in and remove all of those items. We're going to go over the timeline for that in a little bit, but they will take care of getting everything out of your rooms. All of these packed boxes and furniture will then be brought back to your classroom at the beginning of the school year. But until we're ready to bring those back in, they're either stored, and Rich, what is the staging area for Richard? Are we using their gym or is it a trailer?
Richard is a trailer.
Okay.
Off-site.
So we are renting trailers, and all of the boxes and furniture will be placed in trailers that will be locked and placed on school property for storage during the summer. Another important thing is for you to plan anything that you need to use during the summer in order to do lesson plans for the start of the school year, because any of the items that you pack in a box will not be accessible to you until probably September 1st is the timeline that I'm telling you. We do have a plan for, we're intending to have you back into your room sooner than that. However, worst case scenario, you may not get in until September 1st. So if you need something from those boxes, once you are done with the school year and the moving company starts moving things out of your rooms, you will not have access to get things out of these trailers. You also will not be allowed back in the building for anything because it's considered a construction zone, and for safety reasons, we have to make sure that anybody on site is wearing a hard hat, has a safety vest on, closed-toed shoes, pants, the whole 9 yards. So just plan accordingly so you have access to what you need over the summer. So the dates that I mentioned, we have Friday, June 18th as being the last day of school. That gives you only Saturday and Sunday to finish packing your rooms. So that's why we started having these meetings in April. So you had time to think about if there was anything at all that you could bring home now or pack now, rather than waiting until the end of the school year, because we will only have a couple of days after the last day of students. The movers will be showing up pretty early in the morning on Monday, June 21st to begin moving contents out of the building. And then, as I mentioned, we do have an earlier date established for the contents to be moved back in. But worst case scenario would be that contents are moved back in by Wednesday, September 1st. My reason for providing that date is because I would much rather under promise and over deliver when it comes to the date that you have access to your rooms. As soon as we are done with construction, cleaning, and move back in of the boxes, John will be notified so he can share that with all of you so that you can get in earlier if possible. And the last slide that I have for you is the contact information for Rich and myself. A couple of other items that I don't have in the slides yet, but I do want to mention, and I am going to work these into the presentation before I finalize it and get it emailed out. Any live plants or classroom pets, animals, reptiles, something of that nature need to be brought home. The movers aren't responsible for those items. Refrigerators that belong to the district. John, if you're still on, I can't see everybody. But if they're in a break room and it belongs to the district, you want to make sure that the refrigerator is completely unpacked, emptied, and unplugged for at least 24 hours before the movers come in. With respect to your time that will be spent doing packing, I am working with John right now to get information to you on how much you'll be paid for your packing efforts. So there will be some type of EPED or supplemental pay, but I do not have the details around that because last year when we did this packing, we were in the stay-at-home order and we were able to do some different types of accommodations with asynchronous work for students, and it basically was just a regular teacher workday that staff were coming in and packing. So we do anticipate paying you for your packing time that is done outside of your regular workday. I just don't have the parameters on that to share with you right now. I'm still working on that. And we also will be allowing you to have an adult family member come in to assist you with packing. I need to get with a couple of other members from cabinet to confirm how many adult family members we will permit to come in. And that will be included in the final presentation as well. Have I missed anything, Rich, Steve, Robert, Luke?
Oh, excellent job.
Yep.
Spot on.
We're getting more efficient since this is number 2. John, how about any questions that you have from staff that maybe haven't been answered?
Yeah, let me just read through these on here. So it says, do we need to pack the bins in our rolling storage shelves in boxes, or can we keep them in the rolling shelves and just latch them shut? I think that this is specific to kindergarten. They've got long long shelves that fold in half and latch shut with all the contents would be on the inside. Do they need to pack all the stuff that's on the inside of those container or inside of those shelving units, or can they just shut them, lock them, and call it a day?
Do you have an idea of what the diameter of the wheels are, and are they plastic or hard rubber?
Susan, you're sitting in your room, I think.
He's going to check for us.
unfortunately, one of the tendencies in furniture in classrooms nowadays is a lot of particle board with laminate over it. By nature, particle board does not like any stress on it. So within the confines of the piece as I'm envisioning it, I think we can move them for by and large intact, but I would not want to see them full of books or paperwork.
Okay,
Okay, one of them is about 2 inches. They're little black plastic wheels, and they're hard plastic.
Okay,
And then the other one, the wheel, it's like the wheels are recessed underneath. So I'm not sure. I can't see them to measure them. So I don't know
Okay.
what material.
the recessed ones, we would want to see that emptied out. You won't have the ground clearance to roll it up the ramp, and it won't take a dolly well underneath it.
Okay.
What is the traditional contents of these type of units?
They've got little like math games or language arts games.
they're very,
little-
it's fairly light, and they're not particle board. These are like solid,
Yeah, it's a heavy
Uh,
duty.
heavy
shelf.
duty
Okay, then let's go
shelving.
ahead and leave those loaded.
Manipulatives like cubes or like
Perfect.
counting shapes.
Yeah, let's leave them loaded and shut the doors and we'll shrink wrap around them.
Okay.
All right, next one is the library. Who's in charge of packing it? Is there a system already for books? If it's done by someone other than the library staff?
So I believe that we have the movers engaged to pack the library, correct, Robert and Rich, Steve?
Yes,
Last year, I think we tried to make sure that a library staff member was present to assist with organizing, I guess, what goes into what box and labeling so that they could, like the special instructions piece, they're probably going to want to identify, something, on the shelf title or something, something so that they know where it goes back to. And another piece would be, John, I don't know if your students and staff are using the library all the way up till the end of school, or if there is an option to get in and start packing that earlier. The moving company would work with us on starting to pack that earlier than
Yeah,
whenever
we
you can get us in, basically.
Sure, we stopped book checkout before the end of the school year. I mean, the kids would still be using the library, but they wouldn't be checking out the books or anything like that. And that's the biggest piece, obviously, for packing up in the library is all of that stuff. So we'll work on getting a start date for that. Does that sound good?
yes.
Cool.
Do you know, are you Dewey Decimal or Library of Congress for tracking?
Oh, you're asking questions above my pay grade. I'm not sure. I have no idea. Kids go up, they get their books, and they come out, and everyone's
Yeah,
happy.
most schools are still Dewey Decimal.
Pretty sure, but yeah.
Neither library was huge. I actually did the Library of Congress, one of the buildings down in Washington, which was a little over 6 million volumes. A school library is really not too challenging. The shelves aren't high. We start with the category of the books, and we always pack a box or a shelf left to right. And we put the start and end number of the Dewey Decimal or Library of Congress.
Perfect.
And, now, we did not include unpacking. I was only told packing. Is that your understanding, Rich and Robert?
I thought unpacking was
Yeah.
included.
I thought it was part of it.
At least it was. last-
Unpacking also?
Yes. That's
Ah.
what we did for the other moves.
Okay.
John,
Yes, Chris.
I had written a question about the filing cabinets and they kind of answered it, but my follow-up question is that I have 3 vertical filing cabinets, only 1 locks. Like the other 2, if you push that button, I would not be able to get back into the cabinets.
Excellent topic to bring up. Movers just by nature, we're going to go by and push that button in. So put about 4 or 5 courses of Scotch tape around the button, and we will know that it's not to be pushed. It's the red panic button. Don't touch it.
Okay,
That do lock, just go ahead and push it in.
okay. The next question is, but those that do not lock, it's still okay to leave my files in there as long as I push them forward?
Yes,
Okay. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Chris, your question was actually the next one that I was gonna read, so we're good with that one. Does the kitchen and the teacher's lounge need to be packed?
Yes. Correct me if I'm wrong, Rich, you're looking at everything that's in the building is leaving the building, correct?
Yes, this building's 100% emptied.
Amanda, is someone from the food services coming to pack the kitchen, or are we doing that?
That's a great question.
Mm-hmm. Didn't think of that one.
I'll take that as a follow-up item, John.
Perfect. The next one's wall decals. Yes, all of those need to come off the walls, correct?
That's correct.
Everything and every wall.
Luke, you did volunteer to come by and do all that for us though, right? No? Will someone be packing large furniture items? I think we kind of talked about that as far as desks and school chairs and things like that. If we just put stickers on them, that's all good. And you
Yes,
guys
All
will
we
take
need you
them
to
out.
do is label them. We don't need you to, I mean, you can leave them. Oh, actually, another good thing that we haven't talked about yet, Steve, is the diagram and the pictures that you want to come in and take. Do you want to go
Yeah.
over that?
yeah, I plan to come in prior to the move, photograph every classroom and do a rough diagram. So upon move-in, I'll post the diagrams and the pictures on every door. And as my team arrives with the furniture and boxes, our goal is to get everything set to about 90% how it looked when we arrived. The following few days after the move-in, I'll have a two-man team out to make any adjustments or tweaks to the furniture and assist the teachers.
Perfect. And then just as part of that, we don't have to take legs off chairs or tables or anything like that. They can just, cool.
And the diagram that he's asking for, I don't think I heard you say it quite the way you said it yesterday, but he'd like for each of the teachers to kind of make their own diagram, just a rough sketch of how you want your classroom set back up, because the moving company will do their best to, you know, place student desks where you want them, teacher desks where you want it, file cabinet in the correct location, just so that there's less moving of heavy furniture for any of our staff members, whether it's you yourself or a member of our plant department, to have to do on our own. And what's the other thing that you referenced, Steve, yesterday? What did you call those days following the move?
The tweak and adjust. That's where we come in. If we, the teacher's desk, we placed it, he or she comes in and says, you know what? I'd really like it down another 5 feet. We certainly don't want to be dragging it. So we will readjust that piece. If there's the odd box that doesn't make it into the correct classroom, track those down, help unload the speed packs and just get it to the settle-in point. Almost like a maid service.
So this is fairly similar to what we do already at the end of the year, just with your guys's documentation of your classrooms where you want us to set stuff back up from the cleaning and waxing and all of that. This is just going to need to be a little bit more detailed because obviously there's going to be more
It's
stuff.
important that they pinpoint an area where the boxes can be stacked at post-move, so we're not interfering with the flow of their day-to-day activities.
Perfect. I think I missed one on here. If we are packing up items like crayons or paint, will these be okay in the summer heat?
Actually, to be honest, probably not. The vans are going to get in excess of 120 degrees in July and August inside. If there are crayons, waxes, candles, paints, please write on the label under, that's a great place under the special remarks, and we can try to load them down lower in the truck where they're insulated. If they're unlabeled and they're up high or against the wall, the crayons are more than likely going to melt.
Are there approved boxes? Yes, there are that are available. Can we pack stuff in tubs that have lids? Some staff members have done some stuff that's already in tubs and lids just because of, let's see, it says due to COVID, some of the stuff was packed already prior.
Yep, just
they're
label them.
just label and number them. Okay, cool. How do we pack large chart / easel paper?
Best is to just put a label on the top of the pad, the hard top of the pad, and my movers will take care of placing it into a speed pack and making sure it doesn't get all ripped and wrinkled.
How do we pack mailboxes? Like student mailboxes? They're not the most stable thing all the time.
What do you mean by a student mailbox?
Yes, so you've lost me.
So like where teachers put in student mail, that
Okay.
thing right there. If you can see in Susan Tweely's.
Oh, I see it.
I can see it.
Right
You
here.
see it, Steve?
Nope, I don't see it. Let me
You're
get
looking
to
for
it.
Like
Susan's
this is the
picture.
side,
Cardboard, right?
side
Is that
view.
cardboard?
No, mine's wood, but some are cardboard.
Oh, yes, those are, we want them totally empty. They do not hold up well at all. Those are traditionally shrink wrapped and put up on the very top of the load where nothing can crush them.
The next one says, Amanda, if you could also share the Google slide presentation for reference with the video, that would be helpful.
Yes, so
that's-
John, I'll send you your video sooner, but the presentation, I have several notes here. I should have taken down a bigger piece of paper. But the presentation, I'm taking notes on the things that are coming up now, as well as things that came up yesterday that were not included in the slide deck. And I want to get those incorporated before I share that with both Mayor and Richard, and then we'll be sharing it with Brownell and North as well. So it might be another couple weeks, especially because I want to get the pay rate information shared if possible. If the pay rate for some reason ends up taking longer, then I may just follow up with an email on that piece of it so I can get the rest of it to you sooner.
Perfect. And I think the biggest thing for us right now is, we have boxes, we have tape, we have everything that we can start doing what we need to right now.
And just remember that we will continue to replenish. So when you run out, just let John know and we'll make sure to get more over to you.
That is all the questions that are on this document that were submitted to me, unless anyone else has questions that's on the call right now.
And will the labels be available? Do you already have them, John?
Yep, they're in the office. We've already got your names on them. They're good to go. Just ask
Do you have
Margaret
both
for 'em.
styles already also, John, for the furniture and the boxes?
We don't have furniture ones yet, do we, Margaret?
No, we don't. We're still waiting on those, but I'm ready to go on printing the labels, except for the bit about changing the classroom numbers. Can we get that done soon? 'Cause
Yeah, I'll check into that tomorrow.
okay,
Chances are you're gonna use what numbers what we did for defer was use the numbers they're currently in, and we didn't change any numbers and went back to those same numbers. And then we changed room numbers after move was done.
after the move, okay, that would work,
Because it got too confusing if you tried to move it before.
right? So
Before was the big one, we changed every room number in there.
for Sierra, the Young 5 classroom that's going to be in the current office, can I use the 111 or should I label it new classroom or?
Well, there probably won't be a door sign on it saying it's 111.
Right,
Or well, maybe we can tape that on the door. So
Yeah, that's all we need to do.
just go with 111 and we'll tape that right on the door.
okay, perfect. Okay, I will start printing out labels and for everybody, Monday, Tuesday, you'll have them ready?
And then Rich does have furniture labels. I
Yep.
realize you may not want to be applying those to your furniture just
No.
yet, but we'll get those over to you. We already have those in his office.
So, Amanda, did I hear through there that the pickup date is whatever that Monday is after school?
That's
And
correct.
then staff will have access if they need to over the weekend, that weekend?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Is an extra adult just allowed to come that weekend, or can they come like will the school be open like a different weekend before that time?
Yeah, so I will get clarification on it, but basically, I mean, I would ask you to coordinate with John to make sure, you know, it's okay, but as long as it's after school, so as far as I'm concerned, any weekend or any time after school hours when students are no longer in the building is acceptable for another adult to come in and help you with your packing.
Rich, do you know if the custodians will be available to open the buildings on the weekends? Or would that be something I would need to be here for?
We can work with you on that. I mean, we'll probably have some items to do,
Okay,
but you know, your staff does not have alarm codes? Some buildings do. That's the reason I asked.
nope.
Okay.
Quick question, is it still I heard at one point it was an option to have the moving company pack our classrooms. Is that still an option?
No.
No.
It was made an option last year because we were in the stay-at-home order. And, you know, at that point in time during the pandemic, there was, we were just like, it was like walking on eggshells to figure out what we were even allowed to do in terms of, you know, contractors being on site and who could work, who couldn't work. And we had some staff members that were not comfortable because even at that time, like there were rules around what type of employee was, you know,
Yeah,
allowed to
no,
go to
I
work and that kind of thing. So we had to like write special notes for staff to be able to come in and have with them in case they were pulled over on their way to the office and that kind of stuff. So that was really the rationale behind having the moving company do it. And while we do have different moving companies this year, I would also tell you that the staff that had the moving companies do their packing were not happy with the manner in which their items were packed.
No, I
That's
heard
where
that,
we
but
ended
now
up
I
with
see
a lot
that
of damage
doing
and
it,
broken
and I know
items.
that it's a little bit, okay, I was just wondering if that was still an option for people or not.
Can I ask a quick question? If we only have that, you know, there's going to be kids there on the 18th.
Yep.
So we just have, if we come in on the weekend, that's all the time we have without kids like needing to use our room. Is there a way where that boxes, once once we pack a box, can we put it in the trailer or whatever? I mean, it's just really hard to have, we're having students in our room and the room is supposed to be packed up, but there's no time to do both. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be hard to like, it's going to be impossible to have a whole bunch of boxes like in our room while we're teaching. So is there a plan besides having to have us come in on the weekend? And
I mean, the only plan is, you know, like we're giving you the information now so you can start thinking about, you know, how you'll organize your packing and when you'll do it. But probably, you know, just doing it closer to the end of the school year so that you're not having to teach with boxes in your room for, you know, 2 months. But I mean, it might be, if you have a lot of things in your room, it might be that you are starting to pack 2 weeks prior to the end of school and having the boxes line the perimeter of your room.
We have preschool here at Richard, 2 classrooms with preschool things in them. Who's packing those classrooms and when? We don't have preschool, we have other things here.
So Margaret, I can't remember her name, reached out to me she's the part-time person who would be here wanting to come in and start packing. I don't know about the full-time classroom. I haven't heard anything from anyone regarding that. That's
So,
where the new
John, we should
officers.
probably connect with Sarah or somebody, you know, from that program and follow up on that.
Perfect.
I don't mind being a part of the conversation, but if we could together help each other remember to make sure that we have that addressed.
Will do.
They should be packing their own stuff, their staff.
Any other questions that we can answer right now?
I know, Amanda, can you hear me? I don't know. Yeah, okay. I know we sort of skipped over it a little bit yesterday, but I wanted to bring it up today. And I've had some conversations with John about sort of our 5-1 start there going on sort of in the basement and those sorts of things, out of sight and out of mind, hopefully for everybody that's on this call, but it will have some effect on just sort of the outside area and everything else like that. So we will be moving some of the bike racks and those sort of things on the outside, and some fencing's going to go up for our dumpster and those things. So I wanted to at least let John know that that still is the case from what we talked about and those plans that we shared previously haven't changed from that, but that is still the plan to start here, just sort of in the basement areas and everything else, but it will have some effect sort of on the outside of your building at that time.
Luke, what do you guys have like a time of the day you guys are going to be working, or is it going to be kind of all day?
No, we're going to start at 4 p.m.
Okay.
We're starting after all you are done and gone, and hopefully most of the kids have been picked up and buses have left and everything else like that. So we've also expressed that to the workers that are starting at 4, that you gain absolutely nothing by showing up 30 minutes early, because that's right in the middle of the chaos of the end of the year day and everything else. So
Yeah, that's perfect. My only concern is parking. Like, if you got people coming, there's no place for anyone to be. So
understood. We've already addressed that a little bit with some people, and we'll be addressing more of that on Friday. I will be walking with some people Friday, sort of mid-morning, just down in the basement areas and everything like that, with the anticipation of our 5-3 start there. So.
okay. And then you guys are moving our current dumpsters over to the new spot where they're going to be housed at, right? Or are they staying where they're at now?
They will be moved. Rich and I'll work on getting those moved, yes.
Okay.
And then the bike racks, where are you moving those to?
They're just going to be, Margaret, they're just going to be slid sort of out of the way. They'll still be on the perimeter of the playground and everything else like that, because I understand as spring comes here, and I'm sure you'll be doing a bike to school day and those sorts of things, the racks are well used. So they'll still be accessible for all the kids. They just won't be tucked in that back corner, sort of by that empty office and everything like that.
Do you have a spot you'd like us to put them at, Margaret?
I'll have to think about that. I'll
Yeah.
let you know.
We'll put them where you think's the best location.
Okay.
And I guess the only last thing that I wanted to mention is, Rich, it's more for you and I. We need to talk about the 3rd floor a little bit, as far as like the large sort of storage area and those sorts of things. This school's a little unique in that sense that you have that large storage space up on the 3rd floor across from the egress corridor. So we'll just need to talk about that a little bit. But for everyone else, if they do have stuff that's up there, now would be the good time to either purge it or don't forget about it in the move, right?
Yeah, Luke, does all that stuff have to be removed? That's on that.
I didn't think so.
No, not all the stuff on the 3rd floor. I got to talk with Rich. It may need to be moved around a little bit to allow us some access for a couple certain spots. I need to finalize that stuff with him, but I would say that there's really not a whole lot of work that needs to be done up there, including the hallway. The egress corridor is getting new lighting and everything in there, but we are not tearing down the old angled ceilings or anything else like that. So hopefully that message has been conveyed to you before I just let it known.
Is that
Yeah.
are you working in the classrooms that are on the 3rd floor? You
Yeah.
are. Okay.
Yes, we are working in all the special rooms on the 3rd floor. So those are no different than any of the other classrooms that we've been talking about. But I'm just thinking the other side of that hallway that has a lot of sort of just stuff stored in it.
Except Luke, you guys are not doing anything in the back storage room in the art room or the storage, engineer storage space room that's behind the elevator, correct?
That is behind the elevator.
Yeah, there's a giant room behind the elevator on the 3rd floor.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That giant room. Currently, there's a little bit of scope in there, so I need to talk with Rich. We may need to just get some things moved around in there. I got to get a better handle on that. There's a couple heating things that need to be addressed up in that space, so I may need to get some access to some of it. I need to look at it a little bit more and get a handle, but no, that I would say that 3rd floor space does not need to be emptied out.
Okay, yeah, next time you're here, if we could go through that and just let me know what needs to be moved and stuff, so, because there's a lot of stuff up there.
Yeah.
For sure. Now, the storage room off of the art room all the way at the end, that would be, there is work that is scheduled to be done in that room.
So that room needs to be emptied.
I haven't seen that room. I've never been in there, but I'm looking at the drawings here. There is work that's scheduled to take place in there.
All right, next time you come by, we'll take a look at it. We're not gonna empty it anytime in the next couple weeks, so we'll check it out. Does that sound good?
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. Okay.
Any other questions, guys? Gals?
I'm good.
All right, we'll just keep doing what we're doing, and little by little, we'll get there. So I appreciate all you guys for stopping by and talking with us and sharing with us. And thank you, Amanda, for the presentation. Rich, Steve, and Luke, thank you guys, and Rob. You didn't really talk very much, but thank you for your moral support. And I appreciate you guys, and we'll get it done.
Absolutely.
Thank you all for being here. We really appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now. I will get this recording sent over to John so he can share it with you and anybody who's not in attendance. And then in the next week or so, I will share the finalized version of the presentation as well. That will have some of the edits that we didn't have incorporated today.